Hello, this video goes over DPLA and is a demonstration video of searching DPLA. From the DPLA homepage at dp.la, DPLA's metadata lets you search through over 33 million items, and this main way of searching DPLA content is by using this Google type search box. As we noted in the interface video, this DPLA database is robust enough that it can support a phrase search. So in this case we have migrant worker, and when you search it will look for those two words together throughout the metadata. Because we have the search results sorted by relevance, it will pick up those items that have migrant worker together and in the title, but as you go farther down you'll see that there are some, this is migrant and worker in the title, but it's not a perfect string search. They're not together. So just know that relevance means that the two words appear together primarily in the title, perhaps in the subject terms, but that it will also search for a migrant and the word worker throughout the metadata. So note that you can always change this relevance sort to go to the newest item, and that will be based on the created date, or the oldest item as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the fields, some of the metadata fields that each of these items has. So this first one, it has that check for full item featured, so that brings you, this is the kind of the thumbnail. If you wanted to see the full research copy, you could click there. But note that the number of fields on a given item will vary depending upon which of the 41 partners contributed the metadata. It is worthwhile to see that there's right statements where they were given. Unless otherwise noted, you should assume that something is covered by copyright, but if you wanted to reproduce anything, you would want to check this right statements or go to the original view full item and check for rights statements there as well. You might also note there is on every item a cite this item. You can use this feature. You might also, if you use Zotero, you can use the Zotero icon. It will, unlike some databases or some websites, the Zotero icon will always remain a folder, but if you do pull down the icon, it will save this. It will save this page. It will not pull down the actual item to Zotero. So that's a couple of ways that you can interact with the cite feature. If you notice this one, this Mexican migrant worker, this one has a little bit more information. It has a description of what's going on in the picture. It has subjects associated with it, so these are Library of Congress subject associations. It has a location, and this is where the image was taken. So the location, in this case, the contributing institution is in LA, and this picture was taken in LA. So a Mexican migrant travels to Los Angeles. So just keep in mind that some partner institutions will have items that are not necessarily local. So this is why if you go to narrow by location, not every item will have this location field. Not every item will have this depths of subjects. And again, we'll look at just a couple more results so that you can see the difference here. So this migrant worker in the field, So the word migrant workers are in the title, but here the subject terms don't really say anything about migration labor, but they all happen to be about the environment. So again, we might not have found this item unless we had done that free text search in the search box. But here, again, the contributing institution is in College Park, Maryland, National Archives at College Park, Maryland, but the location is the location of where the picture was taken, and that is in Fort Collins, Colorado. Okay, and I do that just so that we can now appreciate a little bit more about what's going on the left-hand side here. So if you narrow down your search results using the refined faceted searches over here, just keep in mind that if you click on migrant laborers, you might end up losing some of the resources that you saw on that first page because these are the ones that have migrant laborer as a subject term. So here we have migrant housing, and migrant laborers was a subject term. So it will give you a more precise return of items, but you might end up losing some items that are relevant but just don't have subject terms. You can always clear all the filters or just remove a filter by using the X there. Okay, so again, remember, if you narrow down by location, it's possible that you will lose out on some of our search results. But if you really just want to know which ones came from Eagle Pass, then that helps you to narrow down this way. Again, note on this item, it has a creation date, description, it has the name of the person who took the picture, the creator. It has subjects and has very specific locations. So in this case it has the longitude and latitude, which would be used, and we'll talk about that in a little bit in video 4, if you wanted to repurpose and remix and remaster these collections and place them on a map. Finally, with all the same caveats in mind, if you wanted to narrow down, you could narrow down, let's go back to our search results here. If you wanted to narrow down by language, know that not every item has a language associated with it. Generally, your most successful searches for language mean that the items are going to be primarily text-based, such as books, pamphlets, diaries, etc. You could narrow down by a contributing institution. If, say, you were looking for maps and you knew that the Rumsey Map Library was a contributing institution, that might be one way or one reason to narrow down that way. Let's go ahead and do another search of India partition. And here again, if you are looking at the type, because we have a fair number of different types here. So you have a map, you have a manuscript, you have pictures, and you have videos. In this case, again, if you click on the kind of burnt orange link, it brings you to the item within DPLA. If you wanted to, you can also get the full item from this results list. Just keep in mind that you are going to the hosting institution. The hosting institution keeps the full research copy of the file, and different institutions will host in different ways. So this is a video clip. This has not only a video available, but it also has a transcript available, which is nice if you want to take notes or if you want to clarify the use of a term, etc. So that's if you narrow down by resource. Again, not every type of resource will be indicated. So we had 15 results for India partition and really only 4 things that were noted. So it might be a case where you kind of have to plow through and look through the various different resources. We might also look at Cold War, which was one of the examples that we had in the second video. This is another case where maybe narrowing down by type or subject really makes sense because you have so many results. But just remember that you can always limit it by year. And again, that is if the item has a date creation associated with it. So this one would show up in that one. These 2 would not. And in this case, if you were looking for a speech by Brzezinski or Khrushchev, you would be in better shape just doing the general search. But you can also add in additional words. So again, remember, if there are words there and you don't put in any Boolean operator, it assumes it's an and. So everything would have to have Cold War and speeches. And this is a way that you can narrow down from here as well. If you are looking for oral history, you could always narrow down by a sound file, but it might be more worthwhile for you to put something like oral history in here, so that you get both the transcripts and the audio files. And one last note, we're going to pop back here to the migrant workers. So the reason that I use these examples of migrant worker and India partition and Cold War is to reinforce that although this is Digital Public Library of America and all of the items have come from US-based institutions, we do have some items here. So this is a migrant worker from Turkey, and it is held at the Minnesota Digital Library at the Minnesota Institute of Arts. So again, this is because the contributing institutions have various different needs, and the collections are curated to meet those needs. It's possible that an item like this has met a cultural, political, or economic impact on the local region. But just a reminder that this is part of the reason and part of the way that DPLA can help us to look at U.S. history and U.S. culture in the greater context of world history.